Okay, ladies and gentlemen, so we are back with some set review on the lands in the old school cube. Now there are some good ones here, so which even today see a lot of play, and there are some good ones for the context of this cube. For example, the first one, Arena. So this is a land which notably does not tap for mana, but for three and a tap, one creature you control fights another creature they control. This card is absolutely bonkers. If this was printed today, yeah, this card would be unbelievable. So yeah, this is coming out. Actually, this is an interesting card. This was not printed in any of the sets. It was coming out from one of these magazines, and that was the first printing of Mana Crypt 2. So yeah, it's an excellent card for limited. So this is like absolutely first pickable and build around it. Yeah, it's really good card. And then we have a Psycho. So we're gonna go Badlands, Bayou, quickly cover those. Plateau, we see Savannah here, Scrubland, Taiga, um, Tropical Island, Tundra, and Underground Sea. So these are the original dual lands. So we got used to dual lands in every draft format, every standard format these days. So they usually tap for either of two color of mana, and they usually come into play tapped or have some condition on it. So these are the OGs. These don't come into play tap. So they come into play on tap, immediately tap for any of the colors, and they have both types. So Badlands is black and red, so it's a swamp mountain, and it's written on the card in old school fashion, counts as both mountains and swamp. So it's a swamp mountain, it's fetchable, there's no fetch lands here, but you get the idea. That's why they are super expensive, because in Legacy, these are the lands which you can fetch and find any color of mana you want at no cost, basically. Because these come into play untapped, immediately usable. Yeah, this is the best what the dual color lens could be in Magic. Like unless you start putting an ETB effect on it, which is an advantageous, but like on the reasonable like constraints of the game rules, this is as good as it gets. So yeah, so we have all 10 of them here. So this is your mana fixing. You're gonna have City of Brass, which is tap to add one mana of any color, and then it deals one damage to you. So that's very good. Dude is from Arabian Nights. City of Shadows. This is an interesting land too. So this does not tap for mana normally. First, you have to sacrifice a creature, and then sacrifice an exile, and then put a counter on it. And it taps for the number of what is this? Taps for mana equal to the number of counters on this. So this sounds like a horrible deal. So the joke with this card is that you have Old Man of the Sea and Preacher, like ways to steal your opponent creatures, control magic, and then you sacrifice it to the City of Shadows, right? And then you keep going. Desert, so it's very good counter aggressive strategy. So tap one to add a colorless man, so it's tap for colorless, but more importantly, this one damage to one attacking creature after it dealt damage. So you have to take the damage, but it can ping down X once again, like a Savannah Lion, stuff like this. It's very notorious land here. Diamond Valley, tap to sacrifice one of your creatures, and then you gain life equal to the toughness of that creature. So again, very good with Preacher or stealing any way, shape, or form your opponent's creatures. So yeah, so that's a good one. Then we're gonna have another cycle, so I'm just gonna go through these first. So Hammerheim, so these are legendary lands from Legends, surprisingly, and they have one of each color. So this is the red one, is Hammerheim, it's tapped for a red mana, and it comes into play untapped. And then you can remove all landwalking ability from target creature until end of turn. So if your opponent has a landwalker, you can ignore that and you can keep blocking it. Caracas, this is super important one. This is a white one, still played in multiple formats today. Very, very good card, both offensively and defensively. So if you tap it, return target legend to the owner's hand, and enchantments on that creature are destroyed, so they fall off. So you can protect your own legends, or you can bounce their legend. So very, very powerful card. Then we have Pendelhaven, which is the green one, so it adds the green, and target 1/1 creature gets +1/+2. So we saw all these like 1/1 flyers. This is the perfect card along with those cards. And then we're gonna have the blue one is Toloria, it's that for blue. And during your upkeep, remove a bending or bends with other ability from target creature until end of turn. This is unbelievably important, I think, in this format. In this cube, with bending is one of the most notorious ability. This takes care of that. Urborg, so it steps for back, and then it removes First Strike or Swamp Walk ability from a creature until end of turn. So First Strike is another one which is very, very annoying in a limited format. This helps with that stuff. So going back to the top of the food chain here. So yeah, so after Caracas, we have one of the most notorious lands of all time ever printed in Magic the Gathering, still to this day, Library of Alexandria, absolute first pickable, tap for a colorless, or tap to draw a card. Now there's a constraint on it, you need to have 7 card in hand, but usually the way you play it, you play library, pass the turn, then you get to your draw step, draw a card, now you have 7 card, draw another card, now you have 8, play a land, now you are at 7 again, and then once it's go to your next turn, draw your 8th card, play a land, then like wait a turn until your opponent then step or play a 2 drop and draw a card. So there's a million ways to get 4 cards out of this very, very easily. Usually, games are buried in library, unfortunately, but it's such an iconic card that I could not have left it out from here. Maze of it, that's another very annoying card. So it's a land that doesn't tap for mana again, but it taps and target attacking creature becomes untap and removes it from combat basically. So you can lock down one of your opponent's best creatures. Mishra's Factory, the best creature in old school, it really is. It's a land. It's not as good in, I guess, in a format where it's singleton, but essentially what's happening that for 1 mana you can animate it and it becomes a 2/2 artifact creature. And yeah, like the joke here is that you can tap Mishra's Factory to give a +1/+1 to end of turn to other or factories in general, right? Or assembly worker. Sorry, this becomes an assembly worker. So the joke is that on a B defense is a 3/3 because he activated to be a 2/2. It taps to give itself +1/+1, and you can eat up 2/2s with a factory. That's why it's so powerful because the land that basically negates anything which has less than 3 power. And that's pretty unbelievable. Soul Haven, so that's a defensive land too, doesn't tap for mana, but for 2 and a tap, you can exile a creature from the game, and which you control, and then you can do it at instant speed. Then during your upkeep, you can decide to sacrifice it and return all the creatures to the battlefield. So yeah, that's pretty good. And that's all, folks. These were all the lands. So we're gonna go to the artifact and multicolor piece. So those are some real delightful cards over there.